As far as Sunday shows go, Senator John McCain was a perennial guest, whether as his party's presidential nominee, an authority on foreign policy, or a provocateur of the White House. You could count on him to make news, including right here with Chris Wallace on Fox News Sunday.
Senator, you probably didn't make a lot of friends at the White House this week when you contradicted one of their main attack points against Senator Kerry, which is to say that he is weak on defense.
John Kerry is a friend of mine. I don't choose to attack or disparage him, and I will not. I know that having a friend in Washington from another party is not acceptable to some in Washington. I have two words for them: too bad. I've found in my life that when I do what I think is right, for example, on the marriage amendment, it always turns out in the end okay. When I do things for political expediency, which I have from time to time, it's always turned out poorly.
Give me an example since you bring it up. What have you done? What would you admit you did for political expediency?
I went down to South Carolina and said that the flag that was flying over the state capitol, which was a Confederate flag, was that I shouldn't be involved in it. It was a state issue. It's an act of cowardice.
Act of cowardice on your part?
Yes.
And you did it because you thought, this will help me in the South Carolina primary in 2000?
Yeah, sure. This won't alienate certain voting bloc. And I lost anyway.
One thing that I was surprised to learn about both of you is that you are, and maybe I'm wrong about this too, superstitious. I'm told that you have lucky suits. I'm told, Senator, you have a lucky rock. But after everything you've been through, Senator, you've also been quoted as saying that you feel you're one of the luckiest people on earth and that you feel a certain, not to get highfalutin about it, a sense of destiny. Do you feel that you have one final mission to serve this country?
I've been blessed to be able to serve for many, many years, both in the military and in public office. It's one of the great honors of my life, but it doesn't mean that I was meant to be president. It just means that whatever time I have left, I would be of service to the country. And I am grateful, incredibly grateful that I've had the opportunity. And if it stops tomorrow, I will look back at an imperfect person, but one who always tried to serve.
Republican insiders, senators, say that your big job going forward is to reach out to conservatives. Here's what one McCain insider said the other day.
So can he then go on and become the nominee of this party?
Yes, I think Holder and Nose are going to have to take him.
Oh boy, Senator. One, is your mother right? And two, how do you persuade conservatives to stop holding their nose?
I love my mother dearly, more than anything in the world, but really my mom is not a complete expert on this issue, and I love her, and I love her candor, and she's been a great asset, particularly whenever the age issue comes up.
On McCain's desk is a picture of his granddad during World War II. In the corner, you can see a photo of the senator as a little boy. McCain says, treasure your children.
If I had a message, because I'm not as young as I used to be, is enjoy every moment with them. Enjoy every second, because they all grow so fast, and you'll have some of your best memories of the time you spent with them.
I fought against my own administration when I wanted to, when I thought it was necessary to do so, and I will fight against this administration when I think it's necessary to do so.
But if I may press
sure.
it, it isn't what other people are saying about you, it's what you're saying about yourself.
Yeah.
You said, I never considered myself a maverick.
Well, what I was saying was that I have considered myself a person who's a fighter. I wouldn't be around today if I wasn't a fighter. I fight for the things that I believe in, and sometimes that's called a maverick, sometimes that's called a partisan. And people can draw their own conclusions. I prefer great American myself.
As the son and the grandson of military men, and as a war hero yourself.
And a son in the Navy. Yes.
And a son in the Navy.
One who was in the Marines, too.
Your thoughts on Memorial Day?
Oh, the great honor of my life. It was to have had the opportunity long ago and far away to have served in the company of heroes.
I'm the luckiest guy you have ever interviewed and will ever interview. I'm the most fortunate man on earth, and I thank God for it every single day. Thanks for having me on again, Chris. I love our spirited discussions.
Me too, always.
It is time now for our Sunday group. Former press secretary for Vice President Pence, Mark Lauder. Columnist for The Hill, Juan Williams. The co-host of Benson and Harf on Fox News Radio, Marie Harf. And Fox News correspondent, Jillian Turner. At least he left us laughing there, and in such a sad few hours that we have seen since the family announced his death yesterday, Mark. He did make us laugh.
He absolutely did. And the only thing I can say is if he would have decided to retire and enjoy a quiet, peaceful life after his military service, no one could have faulted him for what he went through.
But that he did not do.
But he felt called to serve and do more, and he did.
And he did, even in those final 18 months or so of his life. He kept fighting the brain cancer for sure, but he still stayed politically involved as well, Marie.
Absolutely. He was not going to just walk away and not have a voice in so many important issues we continue to debate, whether it's health care, whether it's the state of our politics. And Sandra, I've thought a lot over the last few weeks about, John McCain was a hawk, for sure. But for me, one of the most significant things he did was when he worked to make peace with Vietnam, a country where he was tortured, where he fought a war. He banded together with John Kerry, who he disagreed with on many things, including the Vietnam War, and said that our past does not have to dictate our future when it comes to our relationships around the world, normalized relations with the country who tortured him. That is an extraordinary statement.
And, all of us sitting at this table at some point in our careers, we've had the opportunity and the honor of knowing Senator John McCain and getting to know him in some instances. Juan, we've got a picture of you and your son with Senator McCain.
Yeah.
He's someone you knew.
So that's the last time I saw Senator McCain. We ran into him at the Nationals baseball game this summer. So that's the last time I think that he was here. And again, Senator McCain and I had disagreements. My job is to sometimes be critical of politicians. And I remember when he was running, I think it was in 2007, he was down at the bottom in terms of candidates seeking the Republican nomination. I said, looks like John McCain is out of gas here. And boy, he didn't like it. He let me know he didn't think that was the right thing for me to say. And then when he came back, he let me know, hey, I'm back. I won, and you should tell people that I came back, So that's John McCain. But to me, just picking up on what Marie said, what stuns me is not only that he would go back and work to normalize relations with Vietnam, but here in America, at a time of political polarization, part of the reason I think we honor McCain so much today, it comes out of our living need to say that we can go beyond party politics, we can go beyond polarization, we can go beyond race. You heard what he said to Chris about acknowledging the mistake on the Confederate flag issue. But if you think about his working with Russ Feingold on campaign finance reform, with Ted Kennedy on health care, you think about him standing up to his own party on the Affordable Care Act recently and saying, you know what, I don't think we can just strip it. We have to have something to put in its place. This is the maverick. He said he didn't like to be called a maverick. He'd rather be called a great American. I think on this Sunday morning, Sandra, we can say, John McCain, you were not only a patriot, a great American, and an American hero.
He referenced back, Jillian, to his mother, Roberta McCain. She's still with us. She's 106 years old. He was certainly, obviously, a war hero, a politician with a long career, a successful career in politics, but he talked about his family being the most important thing in the world to him.
Oh, of course. And those of us who know and had the chance to work with Megan when she was here at the channel know just how tight his bond was, not with her, but with all of his children. Marie pointed out that a really important part of his legacy is that he was a national security hawk, a defense hawk. But I think it's always important to point out that he was not a warmonger. Far from it. He spent a lot of time advocating for better support and services for service members, veterans, and their families. But he had a very healthy appreciation, especially later on during his tenure in the Senate, for the limits to the use of military force. I always think about Afghanistan. He lobbied President Obama really hard for increased troop presence in Afghanistan, and then was the first guy on the Senate floor after that was secured to stand up and say, look, America's never going to secure all of its interests in this country with the use of military force alone. He's very unique in that. He's worked on both sides of the issue as a service member and then in policy. There's no one else like that.
And now a lot of questions about what will happen with that vacant seat, who will fill it, and what kind of, the timing is going to be so important, obviously, with the Brett Kavanaugh hearings coming up. A fighter, he called himself, and I think we all agree we saw him the same way.